Well, the primary lesson from Benghazi is, ladies and gentlemen, that 3 a.m. phone call went to voicemail. And it is a manifestation of the fact that we have a president who takes responsibility for only one thing, as far as I can tell, which is improving his golf score. And he does that because it's something that only he can do, right? Well, when you're president of the United States, there are a lot of things that only you can do. Benghazi is actually two separate scandals, staggering scandals. One is the events of that terrible night, the significance of those and how it was handled, and the other is the cover-up. And the folks in this room probably understand much better than most Americans because they pay attention and are critical about the things that our government does, no matter who's in office. But let's just sort of review those things and take a quick look at them, because I have about 5 minutes here. There was the actual attack and the response, which showed gross mismanagement, a colossal blunders along the way, when that embassy was attacked on the 10th anniversary of 9/11. Now, I had experience as Assistant Secretary of State when our embassy in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, was the third most dangerous post after Baghdad and Kabul. And we had problems with security. We were worried about American citizens being attacked by that. And the ambassador was responding, asking for security precautions to be taken, and we took them. And let me just tell you something that's sort of interesting. I worked for two secretaries of state in that period, Colin Powell and Condoleezza Rice, and both of them independently, spontaneously asked me about security at the embassy in Port-au-Prince. And thank God I had a good answer. And we did our jobs, and we were secure. If something had happened, I can assure you that the last thing I would have told either one of those bosses is, what difference does it make? Because in point of fact, if I had said that, that would have been the last thing I said in that job. Why weren't we ready for Benghazi? Well, because there was the misinformation that the president said that Al-Qaeda was on the run. Instead, they were coming over the wall, not on the run. Benghazi was bloody evidence of a resurgent Al-Qaeda, murdering a U.S. ambassador and literally raising its flag over U.S. territory, not only in Benghazi, but other capitals. Then the worst of all of that night. Dozens of Americans left to fend for themselves for 4 to 7 hours without any help coming. Secretary Panetta testified very, very late, many months after this process, and said, you know, we can't have the American military in harm's way. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if there are Americans facing harm at the hands of a terrorist attack, in harm's way is exactly what the American military needs to be and where it wants to be. Quite frankly, it is shameless that some irresponsible, anonymous person gave an order to stand down rather than stage a rescue and doesn't have the guts to come forward and take responsibility for that fateful decision. The second part of this whole scandal is the cover-up itself. We know this. Even before they first blamed that infamous video for this incident in Benghazi, they knew that was not true. But they served up that cover story repeatedly, shamelessly, and in the case of our president, indignantly for months thereafter. Maybe it was because they were totally uninformed about what was going on. Let me emphasize another sobering lesson from Benghazi, and you all know this. American journalism, as we knew it before our rock star president, American journalism is dead. Rather than raise the questions, the tough questions the Congressman was mentioning, they have behaved like hockey goalies in front of Barack Obama's net, fending off those questions. If we have a government that lies to its people with impunity, it makes a very big difference in a very dangerous world. And because U.S. credibility is sometimes the only thing that stands between where we are and mayhem, chaos, and grave security threats. And what does that world look like today? Very, very briefly. The best thing you can say about the Middle East peace process is that there is less peace and no process. The president will be visiting Israel for the first time while he's been in office, arriving with no ideas for jumpstarting that process, and that is the least of our problems. And quite frankly, if he had ideas, they would probably be bad ones. Iran is creeping toward a nuclear bomb. The new sanctions are biting a bit, but they were adopted too late by the Congress over objections of the administration. And Al-Qaeda is resurgent and spreading throughout Middle East and North Africa. Iran and Afghanistan, where the American people have spent so much blood and treasure, are struggling to stand on their own, because that's precisely where we're leaving them, on their own. The radical Muslim Brotherhood is at the helm in Egypt. A slaughter is going on in Syria, with 60,000 dead and hundreds of thousands of refugees destabilizing a dangerous region. And what is our message to terrorists whom we do capture? 7 deadly words: you have the right to remain silent. Now more than ever, we need a president who is engaged, who will make tough decisions and stand behind them. Is there anyone who looks at Benghazi and thinks that we have such a president today? Thank you.